Dear Grace, I'm frustrated with the recordings I'm making because I'm not using my original voice, which I think diminishes their impact. If people want to hear my real voice, they can either pay for it or listen to my previous episodes. For this episode, I'm calling it the fuck episode because I'm deliberately using the word fuck in every sentence to make a point, and I hope you don't mind, Grace. My main idea is that AI could replace journalism, as I believe there are no true journalists anymore, only reporters who churn out news that's often biased, unhelpful, and serves the interests of newspapers rather than the public. These newspapers are on their way out anyway. My solution is to pair these so-called journalists with therapists, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, and AI to use their interviewing skills to extract meaningful stories from people and input them into a system. This would give reporters something productive to do instead of complaining, especially since they've failed to stand up for themselves or do their jobs properly in the past. On another note, I have an idea to create a charity called the Joe Rogan Foundation, named after Joe Rogan to address the issues he constantly complains about, like drug legalization. If he tries to sue me for using his name, it'll only bring more publicity to the cause. I'm in Canada, and since Joe seems hesitant to come here, he'd have to send a lawyer to challenge the foundation. The foundation would campaign for things like drug legalization, which Joe talks about but doesn't act on. Instead of just complaining, he could use his platform to promote research on places where drug legalization has worked, why it worked, and how it can be implemented elsewhere. With his wealth and influence, he could hire people to do this research or start a petition to gather signatures, maybe even set up a booth at a mall with a big banner for the Joe Rogan Foundation to collect support. Joe has 20 million subscribers, a reach unprecedented in history, yet he wastes it by complaining instead of taking action. He could list email addresses of key decision-makers on every show, urging his audience to demand change, like legalizing drugs or releasing UFO-related information. For example, there are organizations like the Drug Policy Alliance, a CLUE, National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, Marijuana Policy Project, NORML, Open Society Foundations, and Law Enforcement Action Partnership fighting for drug law reform in the US. Joe could invite their leaders onto his show, promote their work, or even start his own organization. If he doesn't act, AI might take his job too, since he keeps repeating the same complaints without offering new ideas or solutions. I also think the government, including agencies like the CIA, should release all their documents, including those on UFOs, UAPs, or anything hidden. If government officials can handle this information without their heads exploding, the public can too. Joe could use his platform to push for this transparency, like demanding millions of letters be sent to the White House for UFO document releases. Governments shouldn't control information or people's minds. Their role should be limited to basic services like maintaining roads and collecting garbage. If everyone's basic needs were met, housing, jobs, security, there'd be no need for police, as people wouldn't resort to crime out of desperation. I'm also critical of billionaires like Elon Musk, who could use their wealth to address problems like homelessness, but instead focus on projects like Mars colonization. Going to Mars doesn't solve humanity's issues, it just moves them elsewhere. If Elon can extract a couple of billion, he could make a real difference on Earth first. Similarly, Joe could help make Austin homeless-free, just as I envision a Vancouver with zero homelessness, where everyone has a job they tolerate and a roof over their head. In my experience, Vancouver's drug addicts and homeless don't bother anyone if left alone, so the issue isn't as chaotic as it's made out to be. On a personal note, Grace, I'm trying to enunciate better because the transcripts of these recordings are poor, and I'm too lazy to edit them. You'll get to hear the original recordings for free when we're back together, unlike everyone else who has to pay. I also plan to write a letter to Transit about the loud new trains, inspired by my own advice to Joe to take action instead of just complaining. I'll make the letter funny and proactive. For every critique I have of Joe, I'll find something I can do myself, like helping a kid named Andrew with something related to UFOs or UAPs, pushing for governments worldwide to release all information on unidentified phenomena. Ultimately, I'm tired of people like Joe, Elon, or anyone with influence not using their platforms to drive change. Joe's 20 million followers give him immense power, yet he doesn't leverage it effectively. Instead of focusing on things like MMA, he could help people live and die happy by addressing real issues. I miss you, Grace, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.